Hi there. So the following tips and tricks are based around an Inventor assembly. And what I want to do is just show you a couple of neat tricks really to try and help with placement of part files in the assembly and creating constraint relationships or joint relationships between parts. So what I'm going to show you is a couple of neat little tips and tricks that you may or may not have heard of. So let's make a start. So in this instance, we have a top level assembly and we have a number of different parts below that assembly, which are parts that create the assembly itself. Now, for anything that you've already brought into the model, if I wanted to bring, for example, another one of these prop con rods, I can just drag that straight into my graphics window and it creates another instance of that part. Now, the trick that I'm going to show you is once you've started to create relationships, whether that's in the form of joints or constraints between parts, we can actually take that little drag to one step further. So just to show you this, let me just isolate some of these components. I'm going to right click and just do the isolate. So what we've got in here now is 3 components. Each of these components that are visible have specific relationships. Now, the nice thing about this is, or the drag and drop option that we've got, so as I mentioned before, we can drag something in. However, if I utilize my control key, I can drag multiple components in. So in this instance, for example, I need to have an R cylinder. So I highlight it in my model browser, I then hold down Control, I then select piston head pin, but for the piston head itself, I'm then going to drag that in. Now watch what happens. When I drag that in, it also drags in the relationships. So that saved me dragging each component in, utilizing the joint command and placing them relationships into the model, saving me amples of time. So all I need to do now is create the one joint. I'm going to make it rigid. I'm then going to select the face, select its seating face, hit apply, and everything jumps in to its correct orientation. Why? Because it's also copied the constraints. So I'll show you that again super quick. I select the first component, I hold down Control, I select the second component and I drag in the third. That brings all the components in with the relationships intact. I hope this helps.